Welcome back to the weekly Xbox Indies, your source for Xbox indie game reviews.
Yay!
Mama and Son Clean House is a brilliant co-op game that is far more fun than it has any right to be. As the title suggests, you play as either Mama, a doddering old lady with a broom, or her son, a crazed killer who looks like he'd be right at home in a Contra game. Playing as the son, you shoot wave after wave of robot kangaroos to defend Mama. The son can't die, and actually unleashes a powerful area attack after being hit, so playing as him takes a fairly aggressive playstyle. The only catch is that he has limited ammo, and that's where Mama comes in. Mama uses her broom to sweep up the bullet casings and robot parts that the son leaves behind, and sweep them into recycling bins. When a bin is full, it spits out a full clip of ammo. Mama can also score points by cleaning the charred kangaroo remains off of the walls, but she needs to stand still to do so, leaving her vulnerable to attacks. This creates an excellent cooperative dynamic between the two players. Mama needs the son to shoot so she can clean for points, and the son needs Mama to clean so that he can shoot for points. If you're playing as a solo player, you can either control one of the pair and switch between them with the press of a button, or use the advanced controls to control them both at the same time. The advanced controls are too much for my hand-eye coordination to handle, and the AI is actually quite good for whichever character you aren't controlling, so it seems that character swapping is the best way to go. Somehow the developer has managed to make an action game where it is equally compelling to fire a gun as it is to sweep floors and wipe soot off of the walls. And for only $1, there's no reason not to download this hilarious co-op game. Hypership Out of Control is going to be like crack for any fan of retro-style games. You control a ship without any brakes, trying to navigate between tight corridors and asteroid fields. With each new stage, the maximum speed of your ship increases, requiring quicker reflexes to navigate safely. This is old-school game design at its finest. There are only 10 stages to fly through, but each one is difficult enough that you're not likely to complete it on your first try. But with each new attempt, you'll make it further than you did before, as you learn the best path through each obstacle and how to collect all the power-ups. Like the best old-school shooters, it's a game that is equal parts memorization and skill. For added replay value, there are additional game modes including Hardcore, Super Speed, and Coin Down. Hardcore is a nice challenge giving you only one life, and Super Speed takes away the speed caps in each stage to make for an even faster game. But I found Coin Down the most compelling. Coin Down gives you infinite lives, but has your coin counter constantly dropping, so your only way to continue is to keep collecting coins, with a game over when your coins reach 0. Maybe it's just because I'm a huge Sonic fan, and it reminded me of the Doomsday stage at the end of Sonic & Knuckles, but I thought Coin Down was a lot of fun, even if it's the mode that the leaderboards say is the least played. Hypership Out of Control should not be missed by gamers with fond memories of arcades and the NES era, or really any gamer looking for a good challenge. Abaddon Retribution is actually the sequel to the indie game Abaddon, an excellent hybrid of twin-stick shooting, tower defense, and RPG elements. Your primary goal in each mission is to protect the massive starship Abaddon from attackers, but don't think this is just a series of escort missions. You can customize and equip Abaddon with a ton of different turret options to help it defend itself, all of which can be placed and upgraded as you see fit. On top of that, you can pilot and customize 3 different ships, each controlling slightly differently and having its own range of weapon upgrades and secondary abilities. All upgrades, both for Abaddon and your ship, come at the cost of green particles left behind by enemies. This adds a nice risk-reward element to the game as you fly off to collect cash, leaving both you and Abaddon more open to attack. In addition to the story missions, there's a skirmish mode and online multiplayer. The multiplayer is a lot of fun, as you and a friend either team up to fight back waves of aliens or pit your upgraded ships against each other. But Abaddon Retribution suffers the same multiplayer issue that so many indies share. There just aren't many people playing online. Of course, that's a moot point if you and a friend both download the game for a reliable multiplayer companion. The solo options are still more than enough to warrant a purchase though, so don't let that discourage you from checking out one of the deepest and unique indie shooters on the 360.
Eh?
Snailien Invasion can best be described as the classic game Worms set in real time. Your snail can crawl, dig, jump, jetpack, and grappling hook its way through 8 levels to fight against other snails in modes ranging from deathmatch to capture the flag. There are over 30 weapons at your disposal, with each of the game's 17 unlockable classes coming pre-equipped with 4 of them. It would have been nice to have a custom class option to create your own weapon loadout, but for the sake of keeping the game balanced, I can see why the option isn't there. New classes are unlocked by collecting research points, which are essentially experience points for killing enemies. You can play with 4 players on the same console, or up to 8 players online, and Snailien Invasion really was designed to be a multiplayer game. The only mode playable by a single player is a drone defense mode, where you fight back waves of flying robots. It's fun for a while, but too often drones have a tendency to spawn underground, forcing you to dig to find them, and bringing the game's pace to a crawl. But as long as you have other human opponents to play against, Snailien Invasion is an excellent multiplayer game for the 360. Old School Adventure is actually the sequel to indie platformer Chris Unarmed, but puts more of an emphasis on exploring interconnected stages rather than the original game's precision platforming. This is definitely a good thing because the game has very loose jumping controls that make it difficult to move in midair. But as an adventure game with infinite lives, the jumping controls become far more manageable. The fact that you find winged boots that allow you to fly also helps. Once you get acclimated to the looser midair controls, there's a lot to like in Old School Adventure. Expect lots of searching for keys and some nice twists on the classic spike pit death trap that's more appropriate for a character who can fly. Old School Adventure is a fun challenge. I just wish that less of the challenge was due to the control physics. Action Arcade Wrestling is a throwback to wrestling games from the SNES and arcade era. The impact of the game is lessened slightly by the recent announcement of a new Fire Pro Wrestling game coming to the 360 next year, but for gamers who don't want to wait, Action Arcade Wrestling should satisfy your craving to take buff guys with fabulous names like the Manhandler and slam their bodies together. There's even an option to create a custom wrestler, so you can make the luchador bear of your dreams. Now, I did find the controls to be fairly stiff, but having not grown up with Fire Pro Wrestling myself, I don't know if this is something that is in the game for the sake of nostalgia or a genuine issue with the game. In either case, it's those stiff controls that are putting Action Arcade Wrestling in the A category this week rather than a yay, so I feel like it's something worth mentioning to potential buyers.